And so what sort of a society is this that we're dealing with?
A terrible one. So awful. It's a terrible society. It forces people to choose where they belong at age 16 based on who they think they are. And as you probably know, I bet maybe you've changed your mind about who you are since you've been 16 years old. I have, and that was only 4 years ago for me. So it's not a great society. And that's, part of what makes it interesting. It is falling apart, and this young heroine, Beatrice, who is our leading character, sort of steps up to the challenge and tries to change it.
And who do you play?
I play Caleb. I play her brother in the story.
And what is going on in Caleb's life when we first meet him?
So Caleb and Beatrice are both part of Abnegation, which is this faction based on selflessness. And when they turn 16, like I said, you can choose to leave and go to a different faction. And Caleb leaves this Abnegation faction and goes to the Intelligent faction. That is sort of a big step in a betraying, almost already betraying his family, because it's sort of the rival faction to his initial family faction. And that's what makes him a very interesting character, because it's probably the last thing you would expect, the last faction you expect him to join, and the last faction his parents would expect him to join. And then later on in the movie, our leading character Beatrice comes to her brother, who I play, and warns him and says, "Hey, just so you know, I heard that your faction is planning to hostilely take over our parents and their faction." And he says, "I know." And that's the big moment in the film, because you realize that maybe you're not going to love this guy.
And what is this power struggle between these two factions? What's at stake?
Well, Abnegation, as of now, runs the government, but just like any government, it's somewhat corrupt. They're supposed to be totally selfless. Therefore, they can run the government in the most beneficial way for everyone. However, it's human nature to think of yourself somewhat, and what Erudite is telling my character is that Abnegation isn't thinking of other people. They're thinking of themselves, and even though they manage the food, they take more from themselves. And even though they say that they're perfect and they're selfless, the leader supposedly beat his son. So Caleb says, that they shouldn't be in charge anymore. Erudite, the Intelligent faction, they're the most qualified. They know the most. Therefore, they should be in charge of the government. They can handle it most wisely. So that's sort of why my character makes that decision.
And what was the best part of being in this movie for you?
Well, it's probably right now seeing the finished product. You never know what you're going to get when you make a movie. We spend a lot of time making it. Thousands of people put months of their lives into making something, and then you're left with 1 2-hour product. Millions of dollars go in, and you don't know what you're going to get. And we all watched it about 2 weeks ago. We sat in a screening room here in LA, and we were all blown away, really, just because it was a lot more than we expected it to be. It is a YA story, and sometimes that has a negative connotation because it's for young people, but it's not a YA movie. It's a movie for everyone. The director is a director who never has made a YA film before, and he didn't make one. He made just a real great film that happens to have the main protagonist be a young person.